Hi, I'm Forbes Shannon, and this is the Late Night News. Here are the week's top stories. Fluorescent turtles were discovered by marine biologists last week. Thanks, Fukushima. A recent study found out that 11% of Americans think HTML is an STD. They'd be wrong, but I hope they don't catch a virus. Denmark released a new ad campaign to increase birth rate in the country called Do It for Denmark. Their most recent commercial was Do It for Your Mom. Which means I've been nagged about it for a week, and if I don't do it, I'm not going to be able to go out with my friends on Friday. A public worker in New York was placed on his second administrative suspension after talking like a robot. He said that he was just trying to cover up his Brooklyn accent. Forget about it.
Stay in the camera A for now.
I don't, okay.
He's like, which one is
Or
that?
B, sorry.
All right.
Middle camera.
Doesn't make any difference. Middle? Cool. ASU downtown campus, SDFC, is introducing sleeping pods, which would be great if they didn't reek like chlamydia. Speaking of chlamydia, here's Lauren with the traffic and weather together. Lauren!
Thank you, Forbes. All major airports and interstates will be flooded this week with fall break vacationers. For those heading home, the roadblocks only start there. You'll face questions like, how are your grades? Well, Dad, I go to ASU, so straight C's. Oh, are you seeing anyone? Well, Grandma, look at me. No. And are you using those condoms? Well, Mom, look at me. No. We forecast that after this, there will be about a 90% chance of running into your high school ex. Experts say, no, you can't bang them. Stop that. For those of you with friends going to Vegas, you can expect Snapchat stories between 200 and 300 seconds long of just blurry nightclubs. Well, they can expect a lot of vomit and regret. Speaking of vomit and regret, back to you, Forbes.
Thank you, Lauren. A royal princess came out saying animals don't have rights because they don't pay taxes. Love it. I've been trying to evict my roommate's dog for months now. All right, this one's going to be interesting. A rogue cow has been eluding New York police officers for months now. I think we should just catalog the movements before trotting around the state, because that would be utterly ridiculous. Tempe is releasing a new family-friendly activity called Movies Under the Stars, which is great if your favorite part about going to the movies is staying out in the heat and not being able to hear shit. Jeb Bush came out this week and said he didn't understand the controversy about the name the Washington Redskins, to which Kanye said, Jeb Bush doesn't like native people. Here with more sports news is Monroe.
Thank you, Forbes.
You're welcome.
I'm Monroe with the sports. Speaking of sports, let's talk about baseball. Last week at a Padres game, a woman gave birth at Petco Park. Still the most exciting thing that's ever happened at a Padres game. Or any baseball game, for that matter. Speaking of Mexican fathers...
You mean Padres?
No. Speaking of Mexican fathers...
That's the word, Padre, yeah.
If elected, Donald Trump is promising on deporting over half the MLB. What he fails to consider is that baseball without illegals would be like football without criminals. Not a single NFL player was arrested in the month of September. When asked for a comment, even Ray Rice had to give the NFL a hand. Speaking of future felons, earlier today I stumbled upon U of A's baseball team. Speaking of baseball, J.J. Watt of the Houston Texans has been striking out with the ladies recently.
Swing and a miss.
He blames his busy schedule, but it sounds like something an ugly person would say.
I have a pretty busy schedule.
I don't doubt it. Speaking of ugly people, next year ASU will have a Division I women's lacrosse team, which will be significantly less attractive than ASU's current women's lacrosse team, which does not exist.
I see what you did there.
Speaking of intimidating women, people are still talking about Ronda Rousey's iconic last fight, which lasted just 34 seconds, which is still longer than Forbes in bed.
Ayo.
Speaking of a money shot,
Ayo.
some people think that Michael Jordan in his prime could beat LeBron James. Let's do some math here.
Okay.
Michael Jordan was in his prime in 1992,
Okay.
which means LeBron James would be just 8 years old.
Right.
Of course Michael Jordan could beat an 8-year-old, especially if he's in his prime.
Yep.
Finally, I have my fantasy football picks for the week. Neptune will be giving Larry Fitzgerald a lot of energy on the field, making him a must-start in your PPR formats. But when picking a defense, it's important to consider that the alignment of Venus and Mars could spell disaster for the Bears. Finally, when picking a tight end, Gronkowski has the sweetest ass in the league. I'm Monroe, and that's the Tempe Late Night Sports.
Thank you, Monroe. A man in Nova Scotia broke into someone's house, fed the cats, did the laundry, and watched TV, which is not only creepy, it's highly illegal. But if you find yourself at 138 Lemon Street, make sure to let my shirts air dry. NASA found water on Mars. Meanwhile, California can't find water on Earth. NASA found water on Mars, which is great. Mars can get wet, but my girlfriend still can't. People, a new app that is Yelp but for people, has been gaining popularity. Coincidentally, those with the lowest scores on people are also the most frequent posters on Yelp. Famous author Lemony Snicket announced that he will be donating $1 million to Planned Parenthood only if they'll consider the name change a series of unfortunate events leading to parenthood. A video went viral last week of a dolphin retrieving a phone that fell in its tank. But what viewers didn't see was that the dolphin then put the phone in a bag of rice, called customer service, got put on hold, wondered what the hell phone insurance was for if it didn't cover water damage, only to return it with the zoo patron with a recommendation that they go get a life proof. CNN released a new article titled, "Why Your Cat Should Have an iPad," proving that cats are the worst pets to have because your dog is still just happy to see you. That's it for the week's top stories. I'm Forbes Shane, and this is the Late Night News.